next story now. After several violent conflicts, reports of famine, chaos, and delays due to the pandemic, a landmark election is underway in Ethiopia. Now, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has said that the polls are the country's first free and fair election after decades of repressive rule, and the election is the first test for Abiy's government.
ማንም ሰው ሳይሞት ማንም ሰው ባገሩ ላይ በዜግነቱ ተከብሮ እንዲኖር ነው የምፈልገው። በየሜዳው መሞት እንዲቆም በየይሄ እኔ ቤት ነው ይሄ አንተ ብሔር ነው ሳይል
ያልኩትማ የሰላም ጊዜ ይሆናል ብለን እናስባለን። አሁን ከዚህ በኋላ ምርጫ ካለ መንግስት አለ። እስካሁን መንግስት የለም እየተባለ ነው አይደል? ስለዚህ ከዚህ በኋላ ደግሞ ያለው እንደ እግዚአብሔር ፍቃድ ለአንድ ሀገር መንግስት ያስፈልጋል። በድምጻችን ከእግዚአብሔር ጋር እንግዲህ ሰላም እንሆናለን ብለን እናስባለን።
Abiy Ahmed won a Nobel Peace Prize for democratic reforms and ending 20 years of hostilities in neighboring Eritrea when he headed Ethiopia in 2018. Within months of taking office, he not only unbanned opposition parties but also released thousands of political prisoners. Abiy Ahmed faces mounting criticism over the war in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region. No date has been set for voting in 38 constituencies in Tigray. Officials of the National Election Board of Ethiopia took to the streets of Addis Ababa to explain voting process to the citizens. Some 37 million out of a population of 109 million have registered to cast ballots. Some will have to wait until the second round of voting in September. Voting, however, has been delayed in at least 110 out of 547 constituencies because of the conflicts and logistical issues. Some opposition parties are boycotting the polls over the alleged harassment of their members. On the 19th of June, in the capital of Addis Ababa, police officers dressed in riot gear took part in a parade. A total of 47 parties are contesting the election. Abiy Ahmed's Prosperity Party has fielded over 2,400 candidates. Two prominent opposition parties, the Oromo Liberation Front and the Oromo Federalist Congress, have boycotted the elections, calling it a sham. Despite reports of lower voter registration and the election being overshadowed by war and famine, the election will be a crucial test for Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. For more on this, WION correspondent Coletta Wendell, he is joining us live from Addis Ababa. Thank you for being with us on this broadcast. Now the elections are underway. Some are saying this is the first true test for Abiy Ahmed's government in terms of it being a true commitment to the democratic process. Take us through the latest and what the polls are showing.
Well, I'm sorry I can't get you, but so far the polling has gone on well in the country, and I mean polling stations were open as early as 6 a.m. Compared to the elections of 2015, it would be wise. I mean, it would be worthy to say that the turn-up this time has been better, and also there's some changes that we have seen. For example, the style of polling, the transparency in terms of the ballot boxes. In 2015, people were voting in tarpaulins, where you could not even see where the votes have been cast. So there's some improvement. But also we know that not all areas in the country are voting. Around 106 electoral constituencies are not voting because of insecurity and logistical challenges. So, and of course the nation, the northern region Tigray that you have mentioned, will not be able to vote. So people are still waiting, and there are people who are saying if the whole country is not voting at the same time, will the polls be free and fair? But the Prime Minister insists that they will be so.
Right, and Kaleda, Abiy Ahmed faces mounting criticism over the war in the Tigray region. Now, given the troubled situation there, he still seems to have held ground. How and why?
Well, if we look at the Tigray region, it is a special case because with the conflict that has been protracted for about going to the 8th month now, there's no way polling will happen there. And much as, for example, the electoral board says that for other electoral constituencies where polling has been delayed, a new date has been set for 6 September. For the Tigray region, it's really hard to tell, because when that area goes to polls is highly determinant or highly dependent on when calm will return. As it stands, it's a humanitarian situation. The United Nations says it is deteriorating. The government says it is trying. But in terms of even polling, if you talk to the IDPs there, nobody's thinking about casting any vote. People are thinking about, when will I go back home? And also we know that the issue of Tigray has threatened to put a dent in the image of the Prime Minister, a Nobel Peace Prize winner. And if he wins, for example, he will have a lot to do in terms of cleaning his image and also trying to quell that conflict up there so that he does not continue getting both local and international condemnation.
Right, and Colette, given that the election has been boycotted by some of the opposition parties, and as you mentioned, some of the constituencies will not be voting, or the voting will be delayed, will this legitimize the return of Abiy Ahmed in the eyes of international observers?
Well, the Electoral Board says that the delay of elections in some constituencies is inevitable. It has to delay these polls because logistical issues and insecurity issues. We've spoken to one of the main opposition parties here. The leader says probably it is okay to delay. He feels it's okay to delay polls in areas where it's hard to reach. But at the end of the day, the National Electoral Board and the government has to really act so that in such a way that voters and other voters will feel that the elections are credible, despite the fact that it's going to be happening in about 2 phases. The international community, the United States, the European Union has talked about how free and fair will these elections be, and they have expressed their concerns. For example, the EU has refused to send an observer mission and says it regrets. The United States has said it is concerned about how free and fair these polls will be. But there's some of the Ethiopians who believe that it's good for the polls to happen, it's good for the elections to happen, so that the country can be able to move ahead, because we know the polls have been postponed twice, and some citizens are saying there's no need to postpone a third time. If there's a solution that can be given for areas where voting cannot happen, then it's more of an internal issue that the government has to sort out.
Right, Claire, thank you. We'll leave it there. Thanks for bringing us all the latest on Ethiopia's elections currently underway.